the meeting.
We're now going to hear the presentation on...
Before you insert, I motion to adjourn.
First thing
Bye, guys.
I second.
Okay, we're now gonna hear the administrative plans for improvements.
Jordan.
Is that like, because like,
Just if there is written communication, but I don't think anybody
is that like in Monty Python when they have the complaint letters?
would actually always fall asleep during every Monty Python.
No way. It's so funny. It's so funny, actually. It's so funny.
The movies are so good though.
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh my God, that's you haven't seen the swallow part where it's like, what if they strung a coconut between the two?
Aria.
Alright.
Just a spoon.
It's Tisbo Scratch.
If I were here, I would be running away right now.
Alright.
That's me. Oh, have you seen Monty Python? I don't know.
You have to see it. It's fantastic.
What is it?
So they've got a TV show.
It's like my favorite like cartoon show.
Wait, what's the best
show?
one?
No,
Wait, which
it's
one's the best one?
the best one. Okay. So Life of Brian is really inappropriate, and I have not seen it. I haven't seen it.
Life of Brian is my favorite.
I'd say Monty Python on the Holy Grail is fantastic. It's hilarious. Oh yeah.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Wait, Ariana,
What's
what's
the
Ariana, what's the one with the
Wait,
Spanish
look at what I'm
Inquisition?
looking at.
Again, make sure that the big takeaways from the last presentation.
The one with the Spanish Inquisition.
And then make sure the vote is really clear, so it's like yes or no.
I vote yes.
It's right there.
Oh, no.
It's right.
All right. So
Guys, if I fail, I was never in this group.
okay.
it's
So
not
I say
alive.
any questions, and then I'm like, once we're done. It's long.
Hi, Jordan.
Wait. So I have to say, let's move on to the questions. Let's do that.
Wait, guys, I'm really scared.
What are the questions that we changed to on the last page here? What are these ones?
Oh my God.
Ava, 10 seconds.
Good evening. I hereby. Oh.
It's okay, Ariana.
Good evening. For roughly 50 years, the League of Women Voters of Wilmette has worked with 8th grade students throughout Wilmette to provide the opportunity to learn about the workings of government. Students have worked closely with representatives from the boards with the Village of Wilmette, the Park District, the Library Board, and both District 37 and 39 school boards to understand firsthand how they function. Today, students from the Wilmette Junior High School will conduct a mock meeting of the Wilmette Public School District 39 School Board. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Wilmette, we thank the superintendent, the principal, the school board president, and all school board members, District 39 staff members, especially Ellen Crispino, and most especially the backbone of this program at WJHS, Aaron Schwartz and Eric Rieses. This group's collective participation and collaboration is what makes the League's Student and Government Leaders program possible. Thank you.
Good evening. I hereby call to order this regular meeting of the Board of Education for the Wilmette Public School District 39 for March 4th, 2020. Will the clerk please take the roll call?
Miss Otto? Here. Miss Chaplick?
Here.
Mr. Kaiser?
Here.
Mr. Nagshana?
Here.
Mr. Kabanargi?
Here.
Miss Bostrom?
Here.
Do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes for the February meeting?
Motion that
second that motion.
Do we have any presentations from the audience? All right. We're now going to hear the administrative plans for improvements to the nutritional lunch programs as connected to the 2019-2020 District 39 Strategic Plan.
Our presentation is on school lunch recommendations. Tal Belkin is the administrator for student services. Jordan Pekin is the assistant superintendent for human resources. Julia Choi is the Wilmette Junior High assistant principal. Ben Rogers is the director for business services. Amanda Lee is the junior high and Highcrest Middle School principal. Sadie Lee is the administrator for curriculum and instruction, and Hannah Kogan is the superintendent.
Today, I'm going to tell you about our current satisfaction with school food and nutrition. So the parents have a 85.9% satisfaction with food as a whole. The elementary students have an 81.8% satisfaction with food. The Highcrest students have a 79.6% satisfaction with food. And the WJHS students have a 68.8% satisfaction of food, which is by far the lowest percent out of any other school. The elementary parents have an 82.25% satisfaction with school nutrition. The Highcrest parents have a 68.2% satisfaction. Highcrest students have a 68.2% satisfaction with school nutrition. Highcrest parents have a 79.9% satisfaction with school nutrition. And WJHS parents have a 78.9% satisfaction with school nutrition. And WJHS students have a 59.8% satisfaction with school nutrition, which is by far the lowest, again, by a significant margin.
To improve percentages, we can ask students which lunches they like the most and the least. Then, using this information, we can make edits to the menus. This will allow the students to eat more of what they want to be eating and less of what they don't, which will increase satisfaction of school food. Additionally, we can have students and parents make suggestions for food items and meals. The students are more likely to be thinking of what they want to be eating, and the parents are more likely to be thinking of nutrition. So this means with this information, we are able to increase both sets of percentages. We can also have some of the favorite lunches at Highcrest transfer over to the junior high and vice versa if possible. Students at both schools are in very similar age groups, which means they have very similar tastes in food. When we bring lunches to the other schools, there's a higher chance that the students will like what they're eating, which can increase the satisfaction of food. Lastly, providing vegetarian options every day will be very impactful because there are a fair number of students who are vegetarian. Not only this, but it will encourage students who are eating meat almost every single day to eat some more healthy vegetarian food every once in a while, and this can increase the percentage of satisfaction with school nutrition.
All right, prices of food and where the prices should come from. I think that we should increase meal prices by just a little bit to create room in the budget to try new lunch options. And if we do need that, then we should make it up in, should tax a little, or no, we should not tax a little. We should, again, just hike meal prices a little bit. And most of the healthier alternatives that we've already started trying this year costs less than the unhealthier alternatives, so we can use that space in the budget, that little gap in the budget, to try new foods every year.
While making all of these changes and coming up with these ideas, we should also make sure to keep the students' point of view in mind. So when coming up with these ideas and maybe trying them out, we should make sure to compromise with the students. And if they disagree with one of our choices, instead of forcing the idea upon them, satisfaction for all is a good idea. And providing taste tests, maybe sometime other during lunch, is also a good way to have students try new foods and see what they like, because a lot of students have difficulty trying new things. And making sure school lunches are affordable, so because obviously a lot more students will definitely eat the lunches if they are affordable. And to find out what students think about the lunches and to gain feedback. Instead of surveys, we can further on that and have just a couple interviews with students and a suggestion box for whenever they want. Students should be provided with nutrition education in classes during their health classes in school, because it's very important to know about beneficial and non-beneficial benefits of the food that they eat in the cafeteria. That will give them a better understanding of the changes to the menu and will make them happier and more pleased with the items on the menu. Curriculum should include eating disorders and how to handle a situation with someone who might have an eating disorder, because it is very important for students to be able to identify a critical situation like that. Knowing what to eat and what not to eat during certain times also ensures kids to stay healthy and still enjoy what they eat. It is important to keep classes fun and entertaining, so interactive activities like group projects and presentations can help keep students more engaged rather than a lecture and a worksheet and a textbook.
So here are a list of healthy items that we think should be added to the school cafeteria. One of the things that should be added are vegetable bowls. We have a lot of fruit options at our school, like apples and bananas, and we have cut up fruit at the beginning of the hot lunch line, and we also have containers of mixed fruit. However, there aren't many vegetable options. There's the main vegetable that goes along with the main meal, and then there's also the salad box, but we think that if there was another box of like mixed veggies, a lot of students would get it, and it would be low in cost, and it would be similar to cost as the fruit, and it would contain like favorite veggies among like all the students, like carrots and cucumbers.
Yogurt is also a very healthy addition because it is high in protein and inexpensive. While we already have yogurt smoothies at lunch, they are favored by many, and this would just be another option to have.
Hard-boiled eggs should also be added, and they are really fast to make, so the cooks won't have to be worried about like making too much at once. And many students are still hungry after the main meal, and so a bunch of them just grab an extra bag of chips, which if you're eating a bunch of bags of chips a day and for multiple weeks, it's both unhealthy and not filling. So hard-boiled eggs would be high in protein, would serve as a good thing to add.
Granola bars are another healthy addition that would serve as an alternative to chips. They are fairly inexpensive and are high in protein and are an overall good snack that everyone enjoys.
Sabra pretzel hummus cup should also be added. While it's more expensive than all the other ones. It is also very low in sugar with only 1 gram and contains 20% of your daily fiber value. And we think many students would enjoy this, and that would be the perfect like after meal snack like chips.
Another healthy option is baby carrot packages. Many students have expressed a need for more vegetable options during lunch, and a favorite among most seem to be carrots, and especially baby carrots. Small packages of baby carrots would be a good thing to add to lunch because it is healthy for you and high in nutrients. That's all for the presentation.
All right, I think we should move on to questions.
Just a question in general, where are you getting the costs from?
So most of the food is from Cisco, so we found a bunch of them on there. And there are a few other services where we get the bagels from, so we kind of looked at, and like the different meats, so we looked at those websites that the school already uses.
So I know you mentioned granola bars, and I know some granola bars can be really unhealthy and contain a lot of sugar. So do you know exactly what type of granola bars you would be using?
We don't know exactly which ones, but we do know that it would have to be nut-free because a bunch of students are allergic to that. So there are a bunch of like Nature Valley ones that are like low in sugar and be like good to add.
Are you considering doing anything to promote healthy eating outside of health class, such as an assembly?
We can include assemblies like on the days where students have like extended homerooms, because we usually have assemblies if they are needed on that days, and assemblies can be useful to address the entire student body for some who might miss a unit in health class.
So how exactly would these changes like benefit the school as a whole?
They'll benefit the school because the kids will be happier because they'll be eating more foods that they like, and everyone really will be happier because they'll be eating healthy foods and staying healthy.
For the WJHS HMS principal, what do you think of the new food?
I think that it's honestly a good idea, the new foods and ideas we have come up with, as they are healthy options and seem to have a useful purpose for the students.
This is for the Director of Business and Services. Do you think that the cost should come from the parents or the budget?
I think that it should come from a combination, because as I mentioned during the presentation, there is a vacancy left by using healthier alternatives already. So I think we should hike prices on food just a little bit to supplement our budget vacancy that we can use to add new foods.
This is also for the Director of Business Services. Do you think that the higher prices are worth the food? And because hummus and carrots in total is $3.17, which is more expensive around. I know it's more expensive than a bag of chips. So students who are price inclined or price like specific and they ordered off what they can afford would be more inclined towards chips. Like, how would you respond to that?
I would respond that isn't, or for the most part, that is not how kids really work. I think kids at our school are more, I think they care more about their health and being healthy and eating foods that they like rather than price-wise, choosing economically.
All right,
Any other questions?
That's what I was going to say. Do we have any more questions from the board?
Yes. So going back to how the hummus is very expensive, and I noticed so is the yogurt for one little container. Is this really going to be worth it? And if so, how much is this going to like affect how much the budget or the parents are going to have to, like, how much would you predict would it have to be raised?
So right now we have yogurt smoothies at our school. I know that's one of the new items that's like favored by most, and like a bunch of people get those every day and they really like it. So I think adding yogurt would be like supplemented to that. Like it's kind of the same thing. I think people would enjoy it like as well. So I think that would be like a good thing to add. And they're also like really high in protein. And then the hummus things, I think it's also an alternative to the chips. And like instead of eating just like a bag of pretzels, I'd be eating a bag of pretzels with the hummus, which is also more healthier. And the budget has room to buy like more healthy foods, and a bunch of the like healthier foods are actually less expensive than the unhealthier foods, so there is a bunch of room in the budget for it.
Anyone else? No? All right, I think we should open this up to discussion. So, anyone have any thoughts on this?
I think that to pay for the cost of these more healthier foods, that we should make the prices a little bit more expensive, so that the taxpayers who don't have kids or kids who go to the school won't have to pay for these new expenses.
Second that motion.
I kind of think, like, I noticed that carrots are $2.50 for a single package, and based off of what I've heard from the school, like, you know, a bag of chips is a lot less expensive than that, and I feel the prices are a little too much, a little too expensive.
On the topic of whether the increased fee should come out of the budget or at the expense of the parents, I think it should come out of the budget because you're introducing healthier foods that are different from what we're normally getting, and that doesn't really mean all students are necessarily going to like that, and at the same time all parents are necessarily going to like that, and at the same time you have parents that have kids going to private schools that this won't even affect them, so I think that it's not worth it to charge it to the parents.
I disagree with that. I think we should raise the prices for the parents, because there are a lot of people in this community who don't have kids going to these schools who would be paying for their lunches and paying for the higher prices. So I disagree with that.
And not all kids at the school have a lunch account or buy from school every day. So if they do end up buying every day, those parents would be the only ones who really would be affected.
Any other thoughts? No? All right. I think we should move this to a vote.
I second that.
All right. All in favor of voting for increasing the prices at the expense of the parents, say aye.
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 All in favor say that. Oh, I think the ayes have it, actually. So, anyone move to adjourn the meeting?
I motion.
I second.
All right. The meeting is adjourned.
Guys, I don't think we failed.
Should we stand up?
Good job, you guys.
I thought that's what you said. I just needed to confirm myself.
Yeah.